Hello students, welcome to class 11 biology. Today we are going to learn one of the interesting chapters, that is respiration. Chapter number 6, respiration. So what is a respiration? Do you know the difference between the actual respiration and the process of breathing? So we generally denote that breathing process to be respiration. Respiration is a process where the energy is released in the form of ATP. For that, we need oxygen to be present for the oxidation of the food that is taken into the body by the process of breathing. Yes, you know that? So, the major purpose of respiration is to produce energy. We are learning this lesson after digestion. There is a meaning for that. How? Once the food in the form of carbohydrate digested, it is in the form of glucose taken to mitochondria, where it is further digested or undergoes oxidation process to produce energy in the form of ATP molecule, adenosine triphosphate molecule. It is a high energy compound. Yes, let's move on with the lesson. We inhale and exhale air. And why is it important for our life? That is what is given in the first paragraph. We eat food for energy. Though the above raised questions look disconnected, we raise questions. We should know that the process of breathing is connected to the process of release of energy from the food. That is what I was explaining. Oxygen is utilized by the organisms to break down biomolecules like glucose to get energy. Okay, so during this breakdown process, carbon dioxide is also released. So it is very obvious that oxygen has to be provided to the cell continuously, and the carbon dioxide is released immediately by the cells for the production of energy. Okay, so the term respiration refers to exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between environment and cell of our body. Between environment and cells of our body, where organic nutrients are broken down enzymatically. What does this mean? Enzymatically. So, breaking down process occurs with the help of enzyme. That is what it means. Organic nutrients are broken down enzymatically to release energy. What did I tell you to release energy? Energy is released in the form of what molecule? ATP molecule. Good. Okay. So respiratory function. So this is one of the important questions. 5 primary functions of respiratory system. So wherever it is given in points, it is very important for your question. The important things which you should know only is given in points in your book. Otherwise you can understand in that way. Okay. So 5 primary functions of respiratory system. Exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, and maintain homeostatic regulation of body pH. Homeostatic, the word refers to balance. I repeat, homeostatic means balance of pH to protect us from inhaled pathogens and pollution. So, the pollutants if we take in, okay, or pathogens if we take in, that should not be affecting our body. Okay, that is also being controlled by this process. To maintain vocal cords for normal communication vocalization. So this is very interesting point. If there is no air, you cannot talk. Follow? To maintain vocal cords for normal communication, we need presence of air, and the movement of air only makes noise. Okay, to remove the heat produced during cellular respiration. So whenever you breathe, you keep your finger near to your nose. Yes, are you keeping your finger near the nose? Yes, whichever air is exhaled, whenever you are sending the air out, it feels to be hot. So your body heat is sent out. That is what is given in the last point, to remove the heat produced during cellular respiration. Respiratory organs, generally when we go in for the system, we should learn what are the organs concerned with it and what is its function specifically, and what are the nervous control for the particular function. Okay, so the respiratory organs has got respiratory organs are of different kinds, and it is differentially present in different organisms. You cannot think that the small fish breathe like us. No, it has got a specific respiratory organ. You know that. What is that organ? Yes, it is gills. So likewise, only the respiration at different organs occurs in different level. So different organs have organs for exchange of gas based on their habitat. What is habitat? Habitat is the place where an organism lives. So the amount of dissolved oxygen is very low in water compared to the amount of oxygen present in air. So the rate of breathing in aquatic organism is much faster. Rate of breathing. So fast breathing rate, that is with reference to time, occurs in aquatic organism than in the land animals. Follow? So then we have the animals like sponges. Sponges belong to the phylum Porifera, as you know, and coelentrates, flatworms of they exchange gases through their body surface by the process of simple diffusion. So you should know 2 points now. Aquatic organisms breathing rate is higher, and the sponges, coelentrate, flatworms exchange of gases takes place through simple diffusion. Earthworm use their moist skin, whereas insect use the tracheal tubes. Gills are also used as the respiratory organ in the case of aquatic arthropods, mollusks. Tracheal tube, do you remember? We were learning about cockroaches. Okay, gills as the respiratory organ in arthropods and mollusca in the aquatic life. Fishes use gills, amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals use lungs. So here is the term used, vascularized lungs. So what does it mean? Vascularized lung means highly supplied with blood. So vascularized lungs present in amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals. So frogs spend moist skin also for the respiration when they are in the water. And also sometimes buccal region or buccopharyngeal respiration occurs in the case of frog, that we have learnt in 4th lesson. So this lesson mainly deals with human respiratory system. So for that you should know the parts of the respiratory system. It includes external nostril, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchiole, lungs. Follow? So bronchi, bronchioles are these small branches of the bronchi. And lungs contain alveoli. What does it contain? Alveoli. The path starts from the external nostril and up to the terminal bronchiole constitute the conducting zone. Whereas the alveoli and ducts are called as respiratory zone. The parts of conducting zone humidifies and warms the incoming air. Follow? So the air path is divided into conducting zone and respiratory zone. So in human being, air enters through the upper respiratory tract through external nostril, and it follows the nostril, filtered by the fine air and mucus lining the passage. The parts of the respiratory system, the trachea is a major conducting tube. It is semi-flexible tube. It is supported by multiple cartilaginous rings. So it is made up of ring-like structures, and these structures are cartilaginous in nature. Do you know what is cartilaginous? It is kind of soft bone. It extends up to mid-thoracic cavity. So you know the regions, different regions of the body. Thoracic region, abdominal region, pelvic region. Okay, so where this rib cage is present, that is called as the thoracic region. So it extends up to mid-thoracic cavity at the level of 5th thoracic vertebra, which divides into right and left primary bronchi. So one bronchi is a plural term. One bronchus is a singular term. Okay, so this bronchus will enter the lungs. Within lungs, the bronchi further divides repeatedly to form secondary and tertiary bronchi. Okay, so at the end it ends with bronchiole. Okay, so bronchi have C-shaped curved cartilaginous plates. It ensures the air passage do not collapse or burst. So, once it is made in a C-shaped, separate C-shaped structure, it means it becomes more flexible. So, we need the flexibility. Do you follow? Trachea is not the tube like this. Okay, so it is a solid tube. It is not the solid tube. Trachea is made up of the structure of C-shaped cartilage. So do you follow? If you see it from this side, it is forming C-shaped structure. Yes, so these C-shaped structure together only makes trachea. Why it is made so? If it is going to be the solid structure, it may tend to burst due to the air pressure. Follow? So if it is going to be the joint like this, there is a flexibility in between. Can you follow? So this flexibility will not allow this to get collapsed or to get burst. So bronchioles are without cartilaginous rings and they have rigidity to prevent them from collapsing. And it is surrounded by these smooth muscles and contracts and relaxes to adjust their diameters in their airways. The fine respiratory bronchioles terminate at highly vascularized sac is called as alveoli. What did I tell you for vascularized? It is richly supplied with blood. Why is it richly supplied with blood? Once we breathe in, the oxygen should reach blood only. Yes, to make it available for the blood easily, this alveoli is richly supplied with blood. So it is described as highly vascularized. Okay, so the diffusion membrane of alveolus is made up of 3 layers. Thin squamous epithelial cell of alveoli, the endothelium of alveolar capillary and basement substances are found in between them. The thin squamous epithelial cells of alveoli are composed of type 1, type 2 cells. Type 1 cells are very thin. They help in rapid diffusion process. Type 2s, they are thicker and synthesize and secrete substances called as the surfactants. The lungs are light and spongy tissues enclosed in the thoracic cavity and by an airtight space surrounding it. The thoracic cavity is bound dorsally by vertebral column, ventrally by sternum. Do you remember what is sternum? It is the middle portion of the rib cage. Okay, so then laterally the ribs and the lower side forms the dome shape. Okay, and it is protected by the diaphragm. Diaphragm is a thick muscular structure that is found below the rib cage, which will move up and down during the breathing process. Characteristic features of respiratory surface. Surface area must be very large and supplied with blood vessels, and it is thin and to be kept moist always, and it should be in direct contact with the environment, should be permeable to the respiratory gases. Okay, so here how it is being supplied with the blood. The alveoli structure is given, how the blood vessels invade them. Okay, steps involved in respiration, exchange of air between atmosphere and lungs happening. and the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between lungs and blood should happen. Transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide by blood, exchange of gas between blood and cells, uptake of oxygen by cells for the various activities and to produce energy. Then coming to mechanism of breathing. So the movement of air between the atmosphere and lungs is known as ventilation. So you are coming across a new term here, that is ventilation. Movement of air between atmosphere and lungs is known as ventilation. Inspiration and expiration are two phases of breathing. Inspiration is a movement of atmospheric air into the lungs. Yes, expiration is a movement of alveolar air that diffuses out of the lungs. Lungs do not contain any muscle fiber. Okay, so expansion and contraction is happening with the help of the ribs and diaphragm only. Follow? So now we have the definition for diaphragm. It is a sheet of tissue. It is a thick muscular tissue. Separates the thoracic region from abdominal region. So in the relaxed state, diaphragm is dome shaped. Ribs move by the muscles called as intercostal muscle. Follow? So we said the movement of the lungs occur with the help of the ribs and the diaphragm. Diaphragm itself is a muscular sheet. Ribs, how do they move? With the help of the muscles. They are named as intercostal muscle. Follow? So intercostal muscle are of two types. They are external intercostal muscle and internal intercostal muscle. Follow? So inspiration occurs if the pressure inside the lungs is less. Okay, expiration occurs when the pressure inside the lungs is more. Do you follow? So you can see here the diaphragm is present in this region. Okay, and these are all the rib cages. Okay, so then you have it is getting and the movement of the ribs occur by the intercostal muscle, external and internal intercostal muscle. Follow? So this is the diaphragm here. This is the expiration process. So once it is coming here, it bends upward and the air moves out. Okay, inspiration, it has to just come down, leaving the space. Do you follow the difference between this and this? See here, it comes down. Okay, this is the space available. Do you follow? So much of space is available so that inspiration can happen. So diaphragm will come up to this level. Once it is coming up to this level, what will happen? Expiration should occur. Yes, can you follow? So that is how the diaphragm is functioning. Diaphragm is this. Okay, so in this condition, inspiration should occur. Once inspiration occurs, it will come up to this level. Okay, then expiration should occur. Once it is expired, this will come up to this level. Okay, so why I am saying the levels of the diaphragm? It gives space for the lungs to occupy the air. Follow? So that is how the inspiration and expiration in human occurs. Okay, so it is the same thing which we were discussing is given in the form of the flow chart. You can just read through. If you don't understand, you can clarify it during live class. Inspiration is initiated. Okay, initiated is started by the contraction of the diaphragm muscle, external intercostal muscle, which pulls the rib cage and sternum upwards. Yes, so sternum is a term we are learning. So which is sternum? So it is the middle portion, as I told you, in the rib cage. Do you follow? This is what is called as sternum. This is what is called as sternum. Okay, so the rib cage is there. This side also ribs are there. They are attached by means of the middle bone, that is called as the sternum. Yes, so that is what is given here. Inspiration is initiated by contraction of the diaphragm muscle and external intercostal muscle, which pulls the ribs and sternum upward and outward, increases the volume of the thoracic chamber. in the dorsoventral axis, so that the lungs will expand to increase the pulmonary volume. Okay, so that the process of inspiration is occurring. Relaxation of diaphragm allows the diaphragm and sternum to return to its dome shape, and internal intercostal muscles help in the expiratory process. So on an average healthy human being, please make a note, you should know as a biology student, a healthy human should breathe 12 to 16 times per minute. Okay, and spirometer is used to measure the volume of air involved in breathing and movement of the clinical assessment and person's pulmonary function. What is the name of the instrument? Spirometer. Okay, so respiratory volumes, what we are going to learn under the respiratory volume and the respiratory capacity. It is important for your 2 mark and 3 mark questions. Okay, so you need to understand and learn by heart. The writing should be there as such from the book. You can understand, but whenever you write all these definitions, it should be there as such from the book. Okay, to start with respiratory volumes, tidal volumes. Tidal volume is the amount of air taken in inspired or expired with each normal breath. Okay, so that is what is called as the tidal volume. It is approximately 500 ml, that is normal human adult can inspire or expire about 6000 to 8000 ml of air per minute. During vigorous exercise, it may go 4 to 10 times higher. Inspiratory reserve volume, additional volume of air a person can inspire by forceful inspiration. Okay, if I ask you to inspire how much ever you can do, that will be the additional volume. Normally, whatever you inspire, additionally how much ever you can take in. Okay, that will be the inspiratory reserve volume, IRV. Okay, the normal value is 2500 to 3000 ml. Expiratory reserve volume, additional volume of air a person can forcefully exhale by forceful expiration. Okay, so if I tell you to expire forcefully, normal expiration, normal leaving out of the carbon dioxide occurs. Still more, if I ask you to do, that is called as the expiratory reserve volume. It can range from 1000 to 1100 ml. Residual volume, the volume of air remaining in the lungs after forceful expiration, that is called as the residual volume. It should be there to keep the lungs bulged, otherwise the lungs may shrink. Yes, so it is approximately 1100 to 1200 milliliter. Yes, respiratory capacity is vital capacity. It is a maximum volume of air that is moved out in a single breath following the maximal inspiration. Maximum you should inspire and leave out the breath in a single time. That is called as the vital capacity. Okay, it can be given by the formula ERV plus TV plus IRV. Okay, so these terms we have learned in the previous paragraphs. Okay, inspiratory capacity, IC is equal to TV plus IRV, total volume of air a person can inhale after normal expiration. It includes the tidal volume and inspiratory reserve. Follow TV tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume IVR. Expiratory capacity, the total volume of air a person can exhale after normal inspiration. Okay, so that is what it means, and it can be given by the formula TV plus ERV. Okay, then total lung capacity, this is important. The total volume of air which the lung can accommodate after forceful inspiration is called as total lung capacity. This is given by the formula VC plus RV. Minute respiratory volume, the amount of air that moves into the respiratory passage per minute is called as minute respiratory volume. Okay, so that can be given that can be of 500 ml. Normal respiratory rate can be 12 times per minute. Okay, so then we have about, then final term is a dead space. Some of the inspired air never reaches the gas exchange area, but it fills the respiratory passage. Do you follow? So we are inspiring some air. It is not going to lungs or to the blood. Simply it stays in the passage and it is leaves and it is coming out. That is called as the dead space. It is not involved in gaseous exchange. It can be approximately 150 milliliters. Yes. So today's class we have learnt about respiration in different kinds of animals using different various respiratory organs like gills, body wall, and the lungs, buccal cavity. Yes, so sometimes the amphibians respire through all the three systems: skin, buccal cavity, and lungs. Then we have started learning with the human respiratory system and the path of the respiration. What is the process of inspiration and expiration, and how can the volume be calculated, and different terms used in calculating the respiratory rate. So these terms ended with dead space. Okay, next class we will learn how this air is taken and oxygen is filtered and taken by the blood in detail. Okay, so far we have learned about the terms. You can write all the respiratory terms in your classwork, okay, with the formula. That is your homework for today, and you can submit your classwork for correction without fail. Thank you, students.